Thanks for tuning into our edit sesh. I'm Effie.
And I'm Dorothy, two passionate photographers from Hamilton, Ontario.
Join us as we dive into answering FAQs, share tips, and discuss life's moments, all while savoring the rich aroma of our favorite brew and working through our edit cues. Whether you're a photographer or a pal,
we're beyond happy you're joining us.
Okay, so for the viewers, this is our last episode of season 1.
No, okay, yeah.
For the listeners,
and then Jana is the bonus.
Jana,
right,
we will be doing in August.
The second week of August.
Yes, and then whenever we stop being busy, probably in December, we'll start up season 2.
Season
2, baby. Okay, what are your ideas?
Shake on it. This is their official deal, doing season 2. None of us, we can't move to, well, I guess we could still do this if one of us moves.
Yeah, we got the Riverside. Cool.
Also, we should start asking for money because I'm just kidding.
This podcast is costing us money, especially with this giveaway that literally no one entered.
Yeah. There's a really great way to figure out that
no one is listening.
So glad to have that information.
I mean, it was a long podcast. I feel like a lot of people listened but didn't listen all the way to the end. Especially like once we stop talking to the guests, people might stop listening.
Yeah.
Because like we just ramble on about nothing usually. So
that's pretty true.
So yeah.
We ramble on the entire episode about nothing.
It's literally why we thought you guys liked us, but
yeah,
whatever.
That's what I heard. So yeah, I've got some ideas of people who we didn't talk to yet. I'm going to write notes and stuff.
Okay.
I feel like my brain is still going and you're like, I've moved on to landscaping photos. And I'm like, I'm over here making $0. Thinking about our free work.
For next season, we're going to have my parents on the podcast.
Yeah.
Not photography related at all.
No, well, they're in social media.
Yeah, sure. They make YouTube videos.
Yeah, they're YouTube, their Instagram, they have a GoPro.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Well, they have a drone and like a pocket cam thing.
Out of all parents out there, I feel like they're the most like tech savvy.
It is true. My parents are very, very tech savvy compared to most parents.
Yeah.
So and parents are most people don't know.
Yeah.
But they're van lifers.
Van lifers.
Hashtag van life.
They're fake van lifers because they have a real house.
They do have a real house and they travel a lot in their van.
Yeah.
For months at a time. So that is why we're having them on. That's what they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
All right. Let's get into life updates.
Life updates.
I feel like I just started getting busy this week.
Yeah.
And I also...
Every time I watch your story, I'm like, oh, Effie's golfing again.
I know. I'm like I'm getting busy and I'm still trying to like golf.
Yeah. Last week I didn't work out one time and I was like,
oh yeah,
what's different? And then I was like, oh yeah, I didn't work out at all.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, when you're at a wedding and you're at a session and you're walking for like a whole hour, like it still counts. But
100%.
I think you still need to do supportive things. Like I can't wait till my body can support me going back to lifting weights. Like,
yeah, you have that 85. It's like a couple pounds. So
yeah,
you're basically
honestly, the other day I was like, I actually have like a whole baby muscle growing from lifting that stupid thing. I'm not joking you. And then like sometimes I'll be holding it like above my head. You know, your arm is like in that position where you're like holding it up.
Yeah.
And I was like shooting it off. Like my arm was so tired because I'm just like holding this like 20-pound weight above my head for 10 minutes.
You're gonna have to start holding a weight in your left hand, like just around the house.
The funny thing is like I actually did this thing where I let at the last wedding I was at, I let a guest wear my harness. He was like, I don't understand because it's mirrorless and like it's an R6 or whatever lens.
Oh.
And he was like, why is it this big? And I was like, I have no idea. Like, like I think it's for looks. I'm gonna be honest.
No. I just think the bigger the glass is, the better the quality is.
I mean, I should look it up. That's probably true. But like, it's insane. Because my other 85 is like literally like the size of my palm.
Yeah.
And this one's like the size of my forearm.
Yeah.
So it's just wild. So I've been talking forever. Tell me.
Okay, I want to tell you about my high for the last 2 weeks.
You've been high for 2 weeks?
My high.
Okay, yeah, go.
I would say my high was the Canadian Open weekend.
Oh, yeah.
It was so much fun. We were following Mac around from Thursday to Sunday, and he did so well. Saturday, at the end of the tournament, he finished in second place. And then going into Sunday, he started like going a little bit downhill. He ended up finishing 7th, but still
Yeah.
really good.
It's pretty good.
And then every night,
Tiger Woods.
basically the Canadian Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
And then every night I went to a concert as well. And I was friggin' exhausted. My feet hurt so much. My calves hurt so much. My shins hurt so much. And I was surprised I didn't lose my voice from all the screaming. Just all day, screaming all day. We were very supportive.
We were very supportive.
Very supportive of both the golfers and the concert people.
I do have a question for you. Okay, this or that.
Okay.
So excited to play this game.
Very.
I actually think Rob Anzit may have wrote this list. I cannot confirm, but I'm pretty sure he may have, but it's not a crazy list. Okay. Prime or zoom lens?
Prime.
Prime, obviously.
Obviously.
Lightroom or Photoshop?
Lightroom.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Well, obviously. Landscape or portrait?
Like orientation?
Yeah.
Portrait.
Portrait. This is so far not difficult.
No.
Golden hour or blue hour?
Golden.
Oh, you know what? When a blue hour slaps though, like,
Yeah.
oof, so good. And they're always so artistic and they don't happen very often. Golden hour is beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say blue hour just to be crazy.
Okay.
Okay. Flash or grain? I know you're flash.
No, I'm not.
Oh.
I mean, I deliver flash because of the quality and because of what people expect.
But there's some people who add grain to their photos. Like,
I did add a lot of grain to the shoot we did with Jenna Lane. I like added a shit ton of grain on those, just like as an artistic style thing.
Yeah.
I loved it.
okay.
But I probably won't deliver that to clients.
Yeah. So you're
'Cause-
flash.
I guess so.
Yeah.
It's a tough one.
I'm flash. I don't add grain. And also, like, if I'm gonna do an artistic shoot, like, and like I've done flash to be
Yeah.
more artistic, so
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
gonna say flash.
Okay.
This one should be real tough for you. Canon or Sony?
Oh, Sony.
Sony. Yeah.
I do love Canon though. I'm not against Canon. I honestly
know.
want
This, like-
to be a Canon shooter.
This thing where, like, this camera's better. They're all good. They're all good for different reasons. They're all pretty much basically on par, whatever.
I actually like Canon color better.
Yeah.
Like, I'm very jealous of people that shoot Canon. I just like, I mean, I could switch.
No.
I'm just like,
no.
I got used to Sony and I'm like, this is great.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with Sony.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's great.
Coffee or tea?
Tea,
Tea, nice. I'm coffee, obviously.
obviously.
I try to be tea, but it doesn't stick. So
Yeah.
that's it.
Okay. That wasn't very hard.
No,
Thank you for that.
you're welcome. Play this game yourself at home. By yourself. Let us know your answers.
All right. Let's get into Claire.
Let's get into her.
Do you want me to read?
It's really long, so if you need a break or anything, but
Like a pee and break in between.
you get a little snack break.
Okay. Let me move this.
Okay, can I just say something? I know you're basically ready.
That's okay.
I listened accidentally, I told you this already, to a podcast, like a murder podcast. I had something else on and then it switched. And part of the murder podcast, they have like a specific type of voice. It's really creepy. Have you ever noticed that?
No.
It's just like so quiet and like not a lot of inflection, and like
Oh, yeah.
they have this like melodious way of describing. And then the 12-year-old girl went upstairs after kissing her mom and dad goodnight, and she lied in her bed, and then she was stabbed 9 times. And you know what I mean? Like,
But do you think that's like more of like a reading voice? Like they're reading it?
I don't read like that. My reading is choppy.
read
I
out
miss
loud?
words. I have to go back and read.
Yeah, but like a good reader. You could totally read a murder podcast.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
It's a compliment.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Oh, meet Claire.
Read it like a murder podcast.
Meet Claire, a former midwife turned talented photographer, dedicated teacher, and loving foster and adoptive parent based in Hamilton. Does that sound murdery? No?
Yeah, probably. It's hard. We should listen to the playback.
I'm going to read the rest not murdery. Claire ran a thriving photography studio starting in 2010, shooting weddings and families. Then, in 2018, she pivoted to masterfully capture the soft, raw beauty of life's moments on film, highlighting the gentle and sometimes gory wear of time. Gory?
No.
This is a murder podcast.
Gory in like a beautiful way.
Oh, okay. Known for her keen eye and vulnerable style, Claire's work radiates thoughtfulness and sensitivity. Claire is now on a professional hiatus, while caring for family and her homestead, and instead has turned her lens to creating amazing images in the world around her, from roadkill, oh my gosh, to seniors and her children. She has a knack for turning happy accidents into cherished memories and finds joy in thrifting and curating a house full of color. Claire's electric energy and smart, sensitive nature infuse every aspect of her multifaceted life and work, making her a beloved figure in her community. I would love to see this roadkill photo.
Yeah? I can show it to you.
Okay, thanks.
I'm like, I'm on it.
While you're finding this photo, can you tell me how you met Claire and who she is to you?
Yeah. So actually, I followed Claire on Instagram back when I was starting to learn photography. Mm-hmm. And I was working at graphic design at City Kids, and Instagram was like relatively new-ish. And then we both went to like a conference thing in Kansas, I believe it was. And one of her really good friends, who I also had met, basically was like, you two would like each other. And we both automatically were like, no thanks. Because you know when people are like, oh, you're so much like so-and-so. I don't know about you. I don't know if you like...
You don't like organized fun. So that was an organized setup.
Yeah. But I don't know about you, but if you're like, if someone says like, oh, you're so much like this person, you meet them and you're like slightly offended because you're like, I'm not like that at all. And like, is this how you view me?
Yeah.
And then you have like a crisis.
Fair.
It wasn't quite like that. It was basically just like, you guys probably have a lot in common. And then we just stood there and we were like, hi, how are you? And then
we're supposed to like each other.
Yeah. And then it kind of just like didn't really go anywhere from that. And then I was going through my Instagram and I was like, I'm pretty sure this is the girl that I met. Mm-hmm. So I like, messaged her and I was like, I've been following you for like 2 years. I actually love you. No. Anyways, that's basically how we met. And then I started like hanging out with her really naturally. And she was just like a really natural teacher. And it never came off as like, do this. It was like very, I don't know how to explain it. Like, she was just so excited for somebody to like learn something. And it was never like, I would like to teach you, I'm going to be your mentor. It was basically like I was exploring Instagram and I was trying to take photos. It was around the time when I was handed a camera and we were just like plan like fun little passionate like shoots and stuff, like hanging out and exploring and like making a session out of it.
Yeah.
And then I got more into photography because of that. And things shifted pretty quickly after that because her studio moved. She started fostering and then they moved like to the country or whatever.
That's so cool. I want to ask her about her foster stuff.
Yeah, but she's like very much like the reason I would say it's hard to attribute like one thing to like why you're a photographer or how, but like Claire is like a huge part of it for sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I can't wait to meet her.
It's actually shocking you haven't.
I know. This is the first guest that we're having on that I've never actually met. Hello?
Hi.
Wait, why do you have two glasses on?
No.
They're just the cool frames.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so cool. It's really nice to meet you, by the way.
I know. I was thinking that it's so hard with Instagram, to be like, have I met this person? Because if
No.
yeah, okay. I wasn't sure. It's nice to meet you too.
Yeah.
I was also shocked. I was like, there's no way you haven't met. Because I remember when I met Effie, she fangirls people quite a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember being like, you're actually not allowed to fangirl people except for Claire. That's literally what I said.
Because you're the only one that's worthy of being
Oh,
fangirled.
for shit's sake.
That's...
Am I allowed to swear on your podcast?
Yes, please.
Listen, there are a lot of people out there that are like fake and not authentic. And when you get to know them, they're just regular people. Like, I actually don't understand fangirling. Like, I feel like people fangirl me and I'm like, I'm a hot mess. Whoa,
Yeah.
that's bright.
Yeah, you are. You are a hot mess.
Yeah. And I remember when I met Effie, actually, I was like, because I got pregnant. I think we went rock climbing and I was pregnant already. And then basically our friendship was like me pregnant and then postpartum. And those versions of Dorothy aren't good.
Yeah, I was going to say, wow, Effie. You're
How
in for
are we
a
still
treat
friends?
now, actually.
Yeah. I kept saying to her, I was like, if only we had met like a year earlier, I was like, I would have been so much fun. But
hey, I
now
like
you're a
you.
mom.
I like you in all versions of you.
she
so.
has said that I have ADHD.
Okay, yeah, let's
We
get
can move
into
on.
let's get into Claire because I do want to learn a lot about you. You seem so
Right.
interesting,
So,
and Dorothy has hyped you up. So.
First of all, your intro amazing.
I'm doing the terrible smile again because I feel so uncomfortable.
Effie read
no.
Effie read your intro, but she didn't pre-read it. So as she was reading it, she was reacting to it. She was like roadkill.
Oh yes.
It's very interesting. Oh, I wanted to ask you about like fostering and stuff.
Oh.
Do you currently have kids you're fostering, or do you have your own kids right now, like biological kids?
have no.
Okay.
So no. What I have is I have 2 adopted kids who were in foster care.
Okay. And how many kids have you fostered in your lifetime?
I've only fostered one, and then we were supposed to adopt him. Dorothy got pictures with us a few times, at least twice, yeah. And we were supposed to get him, and then within like the last month of him at our house, they found family and placed him, and he was gone, and it was very, very, very traumatic. Aww. And after that, we were just like, actually, we were so gutted when it happened. Like as he was being taken away, I remember the faces like of the baby and of the worker were both like shocked, like they hadn't seen us this upset before. And so apparently within CAS, they were like, we gotta help Ken and Claire. They're so sad. And then they placed us, or were able to match us with a little girl within like 3 weeks. Yeah. So it was a little soon because I was still grieving. Yeah. The loss of the baby. Yeah. Well, he wasn't a baby. He was getting close to 1, but yeah. And then we got Abby. Aww. So, and then she's almost 7.
And Abby, like, she's just basically in so many ways like a little Claire. Like, really? Yeah. Cute. Yes, she is. Been a better match. And this is actually where like nurture versus nature always comes in as somebody who was raised in foster care, but I have attributes of my parents and I never hang out with them. I'm always like, this is so interesting, you know? But I'm also very much like my Dutch mother. So yes, like it's kind of
it'll be interesting to see as she gets older and as she understands everything at a 7-year-old level. Yeah. But it'll be interesting to see if she ever seeks out her biological family, what that will do. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's good to know that they're a disappointment.
You think so?
Well, it takes the questioning away.
That's true. Mm-hmm.
You know?
That's helpful for me to hear. Yeah. Yeah, I guess does it feel like kind of a closed door? Like you're like, okay, I'm not pursuing that very much.
Yeah, I could easily pursue it, but it's also like, yeah, my story is a little different than Abby's, but and also I feel like we should backtrack because we like jumped right in. But I feel like the first question we have is like kind of like tell us about your like OG story, which is also like
Okay.
there's a lot there.
So yeah, I was always in high school. I was always equally arts and science, but they were both very interesting to me. And I should have just followed with arts, but I was encouraged, and it felt like the cool right thing to get into science. So I became a midwife, and I was a fine midwife. No one died.
Yeah.
And that's the
Best.
hallmark, the hallmark of a good midwife.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was fine at it, but I wasn't super passionate. And I saw my coworkers who were, and yeah, and I was getting colds all the time. Like it was really hard on my immune system, like the scheduling and stuff. And then a bunch of my professors got divorced. And because of just like the intense pace, it's really hard for having a family. And I'm like, oh, I just don't want this.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, during university, I was, I led the yearbook, and I was doing pictures of people in the yearbook, and I was always doing like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so then when I got married, I was looking for something to do, and people were like, hey, would you want to take some pictures of our family? You know how it starts.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, sure, $50 or free or whatever.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, the snowball from there. And then I started a company, and like a proper company with an HST number and everything. And yeah, I shot weddings and families and all that kind of stuff. And then, as you know, weddings turn into newborn shoots and family shoots, and just because they grow with you. And I kind of hated I like all my clients and stuff, but weddings I did not like. I've always been really vocal about that. And it wasn't until the last like year or two of weddings that I really found my niche, which is now a huge market, which is like the small DIY wedding. So this is 2017, 2018. I was thinking really hard. I'm like, okay, if I don't want to just collapse onto the floor crying all the time, what kind of clients can I take that will make me happy? And so it was wedding clients who were doing things in their backyard or city hall or that kind of thing, right? And so I found a few of those little ones here and there weren't that many then. And those were so fun, and they were so like life-giving and stuff. And then we ended up in 2018, 2019 getting into kids. So then I ended up closing the business then.
I feel like when I look at your work, I don't even think weddings. I think like art and like publication and just like creativeness. So like how does that work in your photography business? Are you making it's like is our weddings like your income and then you're doing more like art creative stuff on the side, or are you is it
Yeah,
all encompassing?
no. I closed the studio down, like legally don't have the name, all that stuff in 2019, I think. And I got more into film photography. So I was just doing like the odd thing here and there. I still had some clients that I was working with. Mainly it was designers in Hamilton that I wanted to keep relationship with. And the odd person who I knew would ask me to do a wedding or a family, and I felt okay doing it because we jived. And for all the work that I'm doing now, it's all mainly like for artwork. And if someone asks me to work with them, then I'll ask for them to cover the costs of film and developing. So
Yeah.
I'm not paying for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, otherwise there's no money to be made at the moment.
In your bio, I read that you're taking a hiatus from photography and you're just like working on the homestead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
working on the homestead, working with the kids. So like when we adopted Jesse, my son, I was realizing I was like, oh, women can't do everything.
Yep.
And it feels like anti-feminist to say it, but it's just the truth. Like
Yeah.
we can't do everything effectively and to the standards that we like. when you also want to have a family that you care for and aren't in daycare constantly, and it's like nothing wrong with that. But for me, we wanted to be more involved with the kids. Like we didn't go through the process of adopting kids so that they could be in daycare every day.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what my caption was about too, like the other day, because people without any knowledge of what I went through will ask me if we're having another kid. And I'm like, you're basically asking me if I'm going to give up photography, essentially.
Yeah, pretty much.
So,
Yeah.
So do you do other work to make money, or is it you have a husband that?
Yeah, my
provides
husband
all your income?
works. Yeah, my
Okay.
husband works full time, and we have the farm too, which brings in a small amount of income. So I'm working. I do that kind of stuff.
What kind of farming?
Animals that we eat and we sell. Yes.
Cool.
It's actually so weird for me to sit here because I'm like, I just know all these answers.
I know, and I don't know anything, and that's perfect.
In my head, when you
Because-
asked about Ken, I was like, Ken is an absolute babe.
Is that your husband?
Yes.
Oh,
He is like the
No.
coolest. He is a really cool guy who, like, every time I go to Claire's house, he looks incredibly different. Like, he has really short eras where he dresses one way.
is he
Yeah.
dressed like a farmer?
Sometimes, right now, he's dressed like a farmer, but like he grew his
Cool.
hair super, super long during COVID, like a lot of
Yeah.
people. And then he also had a huge beard. It's awesome. And then he just shaves it all off. So yeah, we're always changing. We like change.
Same with you.
Cool.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I like
Yeah.
change. The house likes change. Things are always changing.
Cool. I was actually going to ask about this
I
picture.
was showing her you probably can't see it on the screen.
Is that the fire one?
Yeah. Can you tell me about that? Because I think it also got published, and was it on a billboard or something?
Yeah. Yeah. So it was on a billboard in London, England. It was part of a competition that I entered. And so they had them. They had pictures all over the city, but one of mine got on a billboard, so that was pretty fun.
That's so cool. Dorothy,
Yeah.
can you describe this picture to our listeners?
I think every one of our listener has seen this photo.
Just
and
describe
they know
it. Just try.
But they're all sitting on a bench. Abby's screaming, and Jesse's just looking at Abby, going, "Why are you screaming?"
I feel like he's kind of looking into the distance.
No,
Like
he's
stoic.
definitely looking right at Abby, being like, "What?"
Okay.
And then
Oh.
Ken is zoned out, looking off to the,
Oh, okay,
I
yeah.
guess the right. I don't know.
Yeah.
And Claire's just standing up there, like, I don't know, is it Mother
Titanic.
Teresa or Titanic? Yeah, like we're going down with the ship.
Yeah.
With her hands open, and then in the background there is a massive fire.
What are you burning?
They're burning brush from their farm.
Okay.
No, it's better than that.
What
Have you
is it?
read it? You've never read the caption? So
Oh, your family Christmas tree.
Aww.
So we
Is
always
that when
used to
Abby's
do-
crying?
Yes. So
Aww.
we didn't. Okay, I didn't mean to make her cry. Obviously.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
what happened was, it was a busy year and it's COVID year. We usually do a family picture in front of the Christmas tree, right? Pretty standard.
Mm-hmm.
Things were really busy and we forgot. And then it was New Year's Day. Oh yeah, it was New Year's Day, and the big New Year's party we often have with a big group of friends was canceled because of COVID. So a couple people tested positive, and we were like, well, that's it. We're not going to do it. And so then we decided, okay, let's take down the tree. So we took down the tree. And then I was like, oh my goodness, we didn't do our picture. And it was the tree was already on the fire. And I'm like, oh, guys, let's get some marshmallows and let's light the tree on fire, and then we'll roast some marshmallows. And Abby's like, yeah, let's do it. and then while it's happening, I'm like, oh, this could actually be a kind of a fun picture. So I set it up. I brought the bench over, and I'm like, I want us to get a little bit fancy, or I wanted to get a little bit fancy. And so like out of frame are sticks and marshmallows, which was the plan. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to do a few pictures first. So anyway, we get everybody lined up. Ken lights the tree on fire. And then I walk over to take my spot, and Abby starts crying. And then I'm just like, what is going on? And so then I just stood up on the back of the bench, and I'm just like, oh my gosh.
Oh my god.
So
honestly, it makes the picture.
Yeah. It felt like it was like a resignation pose is what it feels like. like a very, because of the crying and stuff. So it turns out she did not compute. She was like 4. She didn't compute we were burning the tree to have marshmallows. So then when she saw the tree on fire, so she was crying.
It's
Chaos.
so funny how like you capture that as a photographer, but like it sums up like motherhood. You always think about that, but it's so funny how like you're like irresolute. Like I feel like Maisel's 18 months old, and like sometimes I'll just be like, I'll be leaving something, and she's like in my arms, like dramatically screaming, and I'll be like, "Bye guys!" Like just like, what do you do?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah. Life is just a big Renaissance painting, really.
Yeah. It truly is.
I'm not even really looking at questions. I'm just getting inspo from your questions to ask.
That's fine.
I wanted to ask about your workshops and stuff, because Dorothy did invite me to one of your workshops and I couldn't come, but it seems
she
really
actually told me that
interesting.
you really didn't want to come. Is actually what she told me.
Yeah, that was it actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was very intimidated to meet you. But I heard about it.
Wait, can we clarify that was sarcasm?
That was sarcasm,
okay.
Obviously.
Okay, well, we all know. Yeah.
You knew that.
Disclaimer, everybody.
I did hear a lot about it, and I heard that it was more like less like photo teaching and more like emotional teaching.
Yeah, that was the one that was done by Yan.
Oh, Yan. Yeah, I've done a bunch of workshops. So,
okay,
that one with Yan Palmer and Diana Martin and I ran a workshop together last fall. And yeah, it was intensely emotional. And again, Dorothy, I apologize. I did this exercise. There was a lot of like emotion. Anyway, I did an exercise and it was really intense. But it was a wonderful day. I think it was a wonderful day. It's been a few months, Dorothy. How are you feeling about it?
Yeah, so the exercise I think that you're talking about is you basically question your death, right?
Yeah, so the exercise is imagine you're dying. I'll simplify. You're on your deathbed. What are you regretting?
Yeah.
Okay, and then if you can list some things that you're regretting. And so now you're like, so then come out of that, you're alive, you're here. So now start living in a way that you won't have those regrets anymore.
Yeah. Which I
that
feel
was
like
the exercise.
But then how does that, like, how do you teach that to translate to a photography workshop?
Okay, so it was more about creativity. So for the kind of photography that I like to do and Yan likes to do, and Diana, we like to get there's just more intimacy and more vulnerability. Well, how do you get more intimate and vulnerable with people? You have to really know yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it's about. It's when you can show up with being open and vulnerable with people, and you're open to them, and you arrive feeling confident in who you are. It sets a very, very, very different tone for the kind of images you're going to get from people.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
And so that's what the workshop was for. It was to work on yourself so that you could show up in a more intimate way with your clients. Does that make sense?
Interesting. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think like it's also I think back to like when you were shooting stuff that you didn't like and asking yourself like that, like had you had done that experiment, then you would have been like, well, I regret everything I'm doing right now. So now that you're doing what you like and you enjoy and you're like pushing the boundaries and you're creating art, like those are the steps that you took to live differently essentially. But then also you looked at yourself with like your workflow and your kids too, and that's why like you took the step back that you did.
Exactly. Yep.
I think when I did that workshop, it might not have been the best time for me, or it might have been the best time for me, but I think Maisel was like what, 4 or 5
Yeah,
months.
you were fresh. You were fresh in postpartum.
And I was actually really struggling with a lot in photography. So it was really
Mm.
interesting to like, I think everybody had these like beautiful answers. And I think at one point I said, like, oh, I don't like Diana's answers. And it sounded like I was like offended at her. But I was like, she just had these like elaborate, beautiful like explanations of like what she's trying to do and what she's experiencing. And then my head, like, it was just like confuddled. And I was like, I don't have an
Yeah.
answer. There's a lot in there, and like that's why you should never really take somebody's like silence like as like, oh, they don't have any like answer, because I
Yeah.
right around then, because like I had also gained so much weight, I found like it
Mm.
sounds like really ridiculous to be like, I found that my photography was suffering because
Mm-hmm.
of how I looked. Like, and then
Yeah.
I had shame that I felt that way, because I was like, why would it matter how I look like going to work? But and I never really thought that I was tied into my looks. Like I've never walked around thinking like, "Oh, you're a good-looking person." I've never said that about myself, but I think it was like almost as if I was wearing a fat suit. And I
Mm.
also had like reverse like what's it called when you, I don't know what the word I'm trying to think is, but like I thought that I looked the way I did before, and then I would walk past a mirror and I'd be like, "Who is that?"
Whoa. Yes. Yeah, no, I understand.
And like it was just like everything. It was like my hair, the
Mm-hmm.
fuzz, the weight
Mm-hmm.
gain, the just everything, obviously. And
Yep.
then like I haven't been able to express myself in like what I'm wearing, and I just am in sad
Mm-hmm.
black all the time. Like
Mm-hmm.
so it was a very interesting experience, but I don't know for me if I got to like really dive in deep, because I was like maybe afraid of that. It was
Well,
just
you
very
had,
interesting.
yeah, you had other things happening, pretty intense things that you were processing that you
Yeah.
probably didn't have the emotional space to handle anything else,
Yeah.
which makes a lot of sense.
Like I can't actually open this door right now.
Yes. Well,
Yeah, that'll
if you want
fall
to do some
apart.
thought experiments, we'll do some more thought experiments another time
Yeah.
and see what happens.
Yeah. And I was always really jealous of actually Bree, because I was just like, Bree, this is so on par with like who you are. And she obviously like dived into the experiment like really well. And I feel like she learned a lot. And like it was neat, just like it was still neat for me to be there and see other people going through it. And I think it
Hmm.
was good for me in a different way than the like logical straight line that it was.
Yeah, I mean, lots of people were in different places with like small kids, but you were very freshly had just
Yeah.
had a baby.
And then I felt bad because when we were supposed to give a review, I was like, I actually can't write a review.
Oh,
Like,
don't feel
how
bad.
do I
Don't feel
sum this
bad.
up?
How do I sum up my agony?
Yeah. I'm like, it was good. Thank you.
Yeah, no, no
Honestly, that's so
worries.
interesting that like you have kind of changed the way photography workshops work. I mean, I haven't been to any, but like they all sound like there's some really really great value in them in ways that
Hmm.
a lot of other photography workshops don't give you.
Yeah.
Um
They're usually just about
Yeah,
shooting.
yeah, like you
usually about
show,
oh, that are just about shooting. Yeah, and they're
yeah,
also
like
I
shooting and
find
technique.
they're also about like shooting how that photographer shoots.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You're like it's
Hmm.
more of a mentor session to learn how that photographer works instead of
Hmm.
like what about your other photography workshops? Like I'm sure there's some really different
Yeah.
unique
So
values in those
I've
as well.
done I've done lots. So the most recent was the film one, which is really fun. So that's simply just learning how to use your film camera, shoot it, and develop it, which is
Mhm.
really fun. It's very exciting.
I actually did really
Um,
like that
Is
workshop.
that the Rooney's one?
Yeah.
you
Nice.
what'd you say about that workshop?
I said I did kind of well. First of all, there's a lot of
Yeah,
funny
you
things that
did.
happened. One, I brought a camera that didn't even have film in it.
Yeah, that's right.
Two,
But
I
you,
found out that cameras all have a range, and you have to learn that camera's range, and that would be like
uh-huh.
just by shooting.
What do you mean by range?
So like my camera was a 35, and like if I'm too far away or too close, essentially it's
Yeah.
like not in focus.
Oh, yeah,
And there's well, what I would say is actually every lens has a sweet spot.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the style so much has been like this intense bokeh and like shoot as low as possible, like 1.2, right?
Yeah.
And while there is a lot of beauty in that, some lenses are not built for that. And you just get shit images.
Yeah.
And so it's really important to learn what your sweet spot is for your lens. And that's all online. It's not like a mystery. But it did take me a while to realize that like there are sweet spots for certain lenses. And
True.
It's interesting
yeah.
how film has that though, where like you can look at a film photo and you can be like, this like has this like beautiful bokeh. It's super like, like it feels like the photo, like the person is standing in front of like a backdrop almost, because it feels like
Mm-hmm.
so fake. And then
Yeah.
you can get also these like beautiful images where you're like, this is like f like 2.8 or something, and everything's in focus, but somehow
Mm-hmm.
it's still magical. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand film in that way.
Film is so magical. Yes, I
Yeah.
love it.
I'm
Yeah.
jealous. I'm gonna start shooting film. I say this every time.
And then you
And
get
you
your
should
Sony
start.
out and you're like,
Okay, so I would get like a point and shoot, like a fully automatic point and shoot, built-in flash, like the
okay,
Olympus that you have, Dorothy, right? You have an Olympus, yeah,
yes.
or something, just anything. Go to a thrift store. I was just at Bell Art and got a beautiful Canon Sure Shot. Canon, you cannot go wrong with any version of a Sure Shot. The Sure Shot Owl. Oh, there's a little one. That's not point and shoot though.
No, she says the light meter's broken.
I probably just need a battery for it, but
It could just be
Yes, I was
broken.
just gonna say you probably just need a battery for it.
probably.
Try a battery
I don't know.
first.
It's also just like not the easiest. Like it's heavy. It's not like something I just throw in my bag and like whip out and take like a
Downtown,
picture.
They become worth lugging around because the images that you get, if you get your light meter working, are so pretty.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
I'm gonna do it.
yeah.
I'll do it. And I'll think of
Okay.
Claire every time I take a picture. I'll be like, Claire
Oh
inspired me.
gosh. Oh wow. Okay.
Would
Every
Claire
time.
shoot it like this? What would Claire shoot? Obviously,
No, no. You know
roadkill.
what?
Got it.
That is one thing I teach in any of my workshops, whether they're technical ones or whether they're emotional creative ones. And something that I just did intuitively, and I've been getting feedback from participants for years about this, and I love this about myself, is when I do workshops, I focus so much on how you shoot. Like, don't think about me. Don't think about what I would do, because that's just going to fuck everything up. You think about you and what you like, what interests you, what lines or colors or textures or whatever is good for you.
Yeah.
Because that's sustainable, that's interesting, and that's different, and that's also possibly trend setting.
Yeah.
So when you're like, we will talk about, some people are asking, well, how did you get ahead of the trends and stuff with the blur or shooting film or something? It's because I just do what I find interesting.
Yeah.
And some of them then turn into trends, and some of them don't. What, Dorothy?
I was gonna say, but what if you're not interesting?
Everyone's interesting. You have to find what interests you.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Like sometimes I do think about like what would Claire shoot right now, and I just like try to think that way and like experiment that way, and then see if I like it, because I don't know, because I'm still learning about like what interests me or like
Okay.
what
Well, do you
just
like it?
like what.
Do you like
I
the
don't,
images you're getting? When you think
yeah, but
about like,
like
would
I'm
Claire like it?
yeah
Or no,
when
no,
I'm
yeah.
when I'm specifically shooting something for like art or just like
Oh,
creativity,
I
then
see.
yes,
Yeah.
I think like that I would be like, what would Claire shoot? What would like this other person that I think shoots like
Mhm.
art shoot? But like most of my photography is client based, and I just like
Mhm.
get the
Mhm.
product to the client, and I'm
Mhm.
very like service based photographer.
Mhm.
I don't
Mhm.
like I
You're a
do
two, so.
I yeah, I don't necessarily think like this is art. I think, is the client going to like this?
Sure.
And
Yes. Yeah.
I do like throw in things that I think are creative, but I also make
Yeah.
sure that there's like the standard stuff that I know that they're going to like. So,
I
if I'm
would
going to
say to
pick up
that
a
though.
camera, I'm
Yes.
going to do it for art
Yes.
specifically. Yeah.
So when I was shooting weddings, I found that I was losing momentum because I was shooting for what I thought they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
So two things about that. I started to hate life more and more and hate weddings more and more. And
Mm-hmm.
also, people are hiring you for you and your aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're not shooting your way, then how are you standing out from the crowd?
Mm-hmm. I don't know. People just still like my aesthetic, even though it's a people-pleasing aesthetic.
Oh no, absolutely. I'm not saying, I'm not commenting on you specifically, but what I'm saying
Yeah.
is when you want to, if you wanted to get more niche
Yeah.
or charge more or whatever, or more importantly, if you start getting bored,
Yeah.
always the fix is you have to start shooting more of what makes you excited.
Right.
I think also, maybe the thing that's interesting is not everybody needs to shoot like in this like artistic way. If you're not drawn to it, it doesn't mean it's
Yeah,
wrong. You know what I mean? Like
absolutely.
when I
Yes.
go on Instagram and I see like a session that like it actually makes me so excited to see that kind of stuff, and like I'm like, oh, I want to try to implement that in my next shoot. And I feel like
Mhm.
I personally feel like really drawn to it. Like when I see somebody shot on film, even though I'm gonna do it in digital, like that style always makes me like really really excited. Like I always love like Claire and Diana's work, and I love all the like the different angles. And I think even like the first year I was postpartum, I felt like I couldn't do family, and now like I just did a shoot that I really enjoyed, and it was like actually chaos. I did it for Abby and Caleb, and it was supposed to be like 45 minutes around this my neighborhood, but it rained in the middle of it. So we went to my house and we like sat and had a drink for like 20 minutes, and then we went back to their house and we were blowing bubbles, but their like second kid didn't want to be in it at all, and he was just whacking the bubbles with like a tennis racket thingy. And like I just was like, this is great. Like, you know, the one kid is just like being like thrown and tossed around, there's bubbles, and the kid's like almost hitting me and my camera with like a tennis racket. And like I walked away being like, I think those are like really representative, wow, I can't speak, of like whatever that,
Representative, yeah.
yeah, of that moment in their life. And like I felt like energized by like what I had captured.
Yeah.
But then like also you're like as a human and a person and a creative, like you are super technical, and like you're very good at that. Like you're doing landscape, you're doing like you just got this headshot stuff. And there's some people, there's like room for both of us, you
Mhm.
know what I mean? There's room for Claire, there's room for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as
Yeah.
long as everyone is doing what's making them happy, then everyone's going to be successful. Like
Yeah.
that's the whole point.
And things
And if
might
you're trying,
change. Yeah.
and things
Like
change,
yeah.
absolutely, things totally
Like
change.
I think also like I wonder if you got pushed into that, and that was actually one of my next questions, is because while you were discovering this new way of shooting for yourself, you also had kids and life got
Mhm.
messy. And
Mhm.
you know that all of a sudden you became caregivers for your parents, and you started capturing things like I was trying to explain this before you popped on, like why you took the roadkill photo and what that meant for you, and like how one person might see that photo and be like, ew, that's disgusting. And another person might connect and be like, I understand what was happening here, you know?
Mhm.
Um, and just like how life has pushed you into capturing the way you're capturing now. Like, do you have more to say on that?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I have so much more to say. It's like hard to formulate. Yeah, I feel like because of stuff that I've been through personally, like with my health, and then with my parents and adopting kids, and then the busyness of having kids and stuff, you kind of get to a point, and also being like, I'm 41 now. When you get older, you get to a point where you're just like, oh, I've got no fucks left to give because I have no time to
Yeah.
give it. And so I'm like, I have to figure out, like, I don't have to figure out, you don't have to figure out. It becomes very obvious what is important to you. And for me, things like intimacy and vulnerability has always been like, that's such a four thing, the vulnerability, intimacy thing. Yeah. And so, for me, that's always been really important and just kind of a natural language for me. And also grief. It's a very natural language for me to be able to talk about, and also something I've experienced a lot since childhood. So it just made sense for me to turn and focus on that, because I'm like, these are the things that are important to me. They're what's happening around me right now. As far as my parents were concerned, that was like a double-edged sword. I brought the camera because I knew I didn't have much time left. And it was a way to distance myself from them, like to be totally transparent. It was a way to like be present but not be present in their suffering and in their chaos. And so like, yeah, truthfully, that's what it was. And I didn't realize it at the time, but then now looking back. But then what I ended up getting were these this documentation of their suffering or their successes or whatever, just these really vulnerable, intimate images that I could look at later and I could process at my own speed. Mm-hmm. So like things happen, like my dad had Parkinson's for 15 years and my mom was who knows when she got dementia. But everything seemed to come to a head really, really quickly. Mm-hmm. And so kind of coping with how quickly things are happening, the camera really helped me take a step back, like not be totally involved in not a good way. But also then have this something to take away and look at and be like, holy shit in the sense of that is my parent, like covered in bruises and stuff, and she does not remember falling and, like that kind of thing. But then also looking at it and being like, this is so powerful. Like I feel like the power from it. And there was a lot going on. And it was just kind of a natural reflex to bring a camera and start taking pictures. But it's actually been way more fruitful than I thought it would be. And then it kind of had it what was going on with my parents really softened my heart to a lot of the other elders around me. And then I was taking pictures of like my neighbors and people I saw on the street and guys at garage sales and stuff. And I was just like, can I please take your picture? Like people just living their lives, doing their best. Like there's some pictures that didn't ever turn out because I was using a shitty point and shoot. But of a guy, and he would go to the train every day and take pictures of the trains. And there's like this whole thing, train movement, and they take a picture of the engine, and they know the guy driving the engine, and they have their little lawn chair, and then they go to the next. Anyway, so like I'm like, this is important to him. These taking these pictures. I think it's really stupid. I don't understand the point, but this activity is super important to him, and he catalogs them. And so therefore it is important to me to capture his passion. And so that's what I started to really get excited about. And I hope that's going to be an ongoing project. We'll see.
That's so inspiring. I was actually telling Dorothy, we took a little walk this morning before the podcast, and I was telling her about how my grandparents are starting to get to that age where they're like, it's almost time. And it's like, that's really inspiring to me, and that kind of makes me want to start to capture their lives and like whatever passions they're able to still do in this time. It's just like making me emotional just thinking about it. I was just I was like, oh my gosh.
I have a really beautiful story, and like some older people most older people are going to be really hesitant to have these kind of pictures taken. But if you know them, you're going to know a little bit about them. So for example, there was a couple I was working with, and they were very not open. Like they let me come in, but they weren't going to be touchy, huggy, kissy, let me see them in their bedroom, putting on a necklace even, like nothing. But she had all of her walls covered in these little shelves with these little porcelain things on it. And so I was chatting with them, and I'm like, wow, like, what are all these porcelain, who does this? She's like, oh, well, I make them. I've been making porcelain figurines since 1945 or whatever, right? And then my husband, he makes all the shelves because he knows how much I love them. And now I'm going to get emotional. And I was like, that's it. Like that's
Yeah.
that's the most beautiful thing. She
Yeah.
makes so many of these things
Yeah.
that her family's going to be like, I'll take one and the rest get donated, right?
Yeah.
But her
Yeah.
husband's like, I love you and I love that you love these little porcelain things. I'm going to make you all the shelves you want and hang them up everywhere. And so for them, I know, for them it was just pictures of like that kind of stuff.
Are
But
these just clients, like, or who
no,
are these people?
Strangers.
these are people I hunt.
Oh, okay.
I've had a few family members get in touch hoping that they could convince their family to agree. It's been really, really hard and I totally get it.
Mm-hmm.
It's really vulnerable. It's like the most vulnerable you can get. But but I think there's two things going on here. Two things. I keep listing. I don't know, maybe there's more. For me, is our elders are like not visible, right?
Yeah.
Like where are they in the world, in social media, in anything? Like some of them are on it and everything, but they're whatever. They seem to disappear from our lives and stuff, and then they seem to lose meaning, and their stories lose meaning. And then if we don't focus on them, then where do those things go? They don't go nowhere. They disappear.
Yeah.
And we all know that taking pictures, even at a wedding and stuff, of course, is like freezing a moment in time that you can have forever, in theory.
Mm-hmm.
And you can never get that moment back either. And so I feel like in the case of my parents, I wanted to take pictures to honor that I wouldn't look away when, now I'm going to get emotional. I would not look away when things were ugly for them. Sorry.
That's
It's
okay.
okay.
Like, I didn't want to go to them and be like, it's okay, everything's fine, things are fine, right? Oh my gosh, Mom, you look great. What, like it was hell.
Mm-hmm.
And so taking pictures was, I feel like for me, a way to say like, I'm honoring you by not only not looking away from this, but I'm gonna freeze it forever. In every state that you are, and not just the good ways. I want to freeze it. Sorry. So, am I the first crier on the podcast?
Yeah, but we've never ever gotten deep ever.
Yes, awesome.
Yeah.
I feel like just like a couple minutes ago, like I was like, I'm sad, and then Effie's like, I'm sad, and like we're just all crying over here. So
I feel
So
like
anyway,
that's such an interesting perspective. I don't want to cut you off, but I do want to
no,
touch
yeah,
on
go ahead.
that.
Yes, yeah,
A lot of people talk about how like they don't want to remember them at that state. They want to remember them at a good state, so like they stop visiting, or like when they forget them, they don't want to remember them not being able to remember them. You know what I mean?
yes,
But you're
yeah.
totally
And
embracing it.
yeah, and I mean that for some people that's fine, but like the way I'm built, I am built that I like with grief. I am familiar with grief. I'm familiar with vulnerability, so I feel like I can do this kind of stuff, and it's not for everybody. But I wanted to, yeah, it was definitely like specifically, I even wrote it down before the shoots, like this is the way I want to honor them in their final years. And the other thing was I also want to draw attention to the fact that we all have parents and grandparents who are going to die. And when I was going through it, like I'm quite young to be going through it because my parents are fairly young to be going through this stuff, and I was also born late to them. But it's coming for all of us, and when it comes, it is so shocking. And to see your parents in whatever state, even if they're mentally okay and lucid and stuff, even seeing their bodies failing them is shocking, but it is so normal.
yeah,
It happens to everyone.
yeah,
And so I guess in a way I want to just like what I always say, I just want to normalize normalcy. Like that's so important to me. It's just a normal thing that happens. And we don't talk about it because it's kind of ugly and scary.
Yeah.
So, Those are the two reasons. Whew.
I love that it went there.
Yeah. You said you have an upcoming show at Rooney's August 5th to the October 5th. Is this what
Yeah.
it's about? And then you have an artist talk on August 23rd. Is this
Yes,
also
thank you.
what these are both about?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, it's about my
And
parents.
you don't have a name yet.
No, I'm working on a title, so I'm accepting title names if you have any.
You did mention Don't Look Away a couple times.
Okay.
Oh, good one.
Oh, don't look. I like that actually. Okay,
So
I'm gonna write that
good.
down.
It gave me
Oh,
goosebumps.
don't ask.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Well, only because you mentioned it. And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
like a
totally.
sentence that connected to like literally what you're doing. But
That's true.
won't be
Yeah.
offended if you don't use it.
Okay, got it.
So that's actually, I feel like we've gone through like pretty much everything in like a really natural seemingly way, it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
And do you have more to say about one, your show, or two, your talk?
I'll be crying, and you can come and see me cry live if you want. I don't know how not to cry
I'm
about
looking
these
at my
things.
calendar right now.
What day is it?
Yeah,
The 23rd of
it's
August.
a Friday.
Friday, and I am available.
It's literally just down the street from me, so
You have no excuse.
no
Oh,
excuse.
you have no excuse.
I'll pop in.
How much are the
Yeah,
tickets?
okay. Oh no, there's no tickets. It's just come in, just come.
Go get a coffee.
Oh.
Yeah, I get a coffee. Weep into your coffee. That's what I've been saying to Katie at Rooney's. I'm like, Katie, are you sure you want these pictures? Everyone's just gonna be crying into their lattes for the next two months.
You know,
She should do like teardrop latte art in lattes that she wants.
That's a really good idea. Yeah.
It's perfect because you know the guy from Big Bang when he was like, I don't know how to comfort you. Do you want a warm drink?
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
sales will be up for
Yes.
Katie.
Yeah, they might be. Yeah.
Our drinks are actually from Rooney's today.
Oh, yay. Sponsored by
Cheers.
Rooney's today. Awesome.
Sponsored, but I paid for them.
Oh, yeah,
But
right.
you
Good
didn't.
point. You
But it was a
sponsored
gift card.
Rooney's. Yeah.
Gift card.
All
Gift
right.
card.
Yeah, it's about the show. No, I will say there's tons of images I have never shared.
Yeah.
Cool.
That'll be there.
Printed
And
out on the walls?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes, for 2 months. So
Oh,
it's very
sick.
exciting. Yeah. And so the artist talk, what's involved is I'll be doing a slideshow and talking about the images that are there and probably a lot more images within the slideshow that aren't hung on the wall. Excuse me. And I'll be crying. And then afterwards, I may sell some prints. I don't know. Like whenever people have shows there, they always sell prints, but it's usually like not of their parents dying. So I'm very conflicted about this, about what to sell. Yeah. So, but I'm hoping to sell a little bit just to kind of break even on printing costs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then in London, there's the print house in London. Oh my goodness, I feel so bad. I'm forgetting their name right now. Do you guys remember? Not the print house, the film developing place in London.
Oh.
All About Film? Do you remember?
It's on the tip of my tongue.
We'll tag it.
Okay.
We'll put it in show notes and we'll take it.
Okay,
we'll
perfect.
find it.
Good. They're also going to be doing the same show in the fall.
Okay, cool.
So people in London can go too.
And on the topic of shooting how you shoot and workshops, you actually just did relaunch mentorships.
Oh, thanks for mentioning it.
Right?
Yes, I did. Just because I still do have ongoing things and they're a bit different. Like I'm totally happy to do family stuff, even though I'm not shooting a ton of family stuff.
Yeah.
Actually that's not true. I do have some family stuff coming up. That's all on point and shoot. So the whole family shoot will be point and shoot.
Cool. Nice.
So yeah, it'll be really fun. And then I have the Tim Walker inspired shoot with a friend of mine who I met on Marketplace. We are now friends. She has a garden. She's German and she is willing to be naked.
All of those things. Every box checked.
Garden.
I know. It's gonna be so good.
German.
Tall.
Dutch adjacent. You understand my harshness. You're like,
Yeah. So I'm very excited. So like I'm opening it up for people to come and join me on the weird shoots that are out of the ordinary, the more artsy editorial stuff. And then other shoots, like you're saying, with family, I'm totally happy to help arrange those. Or if you want to arrange them and I come along and we do it together. Yeah, so it's more of like it's a shadowing, it's a hands-on mentorship, and then afterwards, so we do the shoot together, and afterwards is a pretty comprehensive debrief, and we can even do a little debrief after once you kind of go through your pictures and stuff.
Yeah.
I find it for me, and I think a lot of creatives were really hands-on, like really specifically tactile hands-on, and it's hard to learn from videos online for me. And reading online, I have to do it. So it's for those kind of people who have to do it.
I'm definitely going to do it. I think there's a lot to be said in investing in yourself, learning something new. There's always a takeaway. And it doesn't matter at what stage in photography you're in. And it's always
absolutely
fun. I've never had a bad experience.
Right. And my goal, like I was saying, is always, always, always to help people shoot more like themselves.
Yeah.
And not more like me.
Got it.
But I want to shoot more like you.
No, you failed.
We've actually made shirts and it says, "What would Claire do?"
Shut up. You have
no, we didn't.
Okay, but that would be kind of funny. Okay. I prefer a bracelet, but
not far out.
Oh my gosh, yes.
How much is mentorship?
It ranges. Just straight up mentorship or like a portfolio review is $200. Since I don't have HST number anymore, I don't have to charge shit. I just said it out loud. I mean, HST's whatever. No one's listening to this. Like no one from the IRS.
Never know.
Maybe
a lot of listeners.
Yeah, that is true. Maybe not. Maybe there's accountants listening to this. HST is built into my prices, and a portfolio review, thank you, is just a straight portfolio review. It's a couple hours, $200, and then for shadowing, it's basically $100 an hour. If you want to break it down that way.
I would never want to do a portfolio review ever.
Esther Bryce did one. She had so many good things to say about it. She loved it.
Yeah,
you can ask her.
No thanks.
Okay.
Take my money in other ways.
I don't care to hear what I'm doing wrong. Thank you.
No, it's more like what you're doing right.
One time,
sounds like a 4 thing to say.
One time,
not a 3 thing to say.
A photographer was like, "This photo you took is really muddy," and I have never covered
muddy.
Yeah, I know.
You probably know which photo it was, wasn't it?
I know. You texted me about it.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was like, I didn't even ask you for this information.
But now I'll have trouble sleeping because you said it.
I did that on purpose. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you guys for having me. This was fun and terrifying.
Yeah. Oh, was it terrifying?
Yeah, it's because my work is so in here.
It is.
So
yeah.
But
honestly, you did amazing.
I was most excited for yours. Obviously, you are so insightful and like I said, the only person you can hype girl in Ontario, I think.
Fangirl,
not hype girl, is Claire. Yeah,
I don't know what to do with that, but
she gets it now.
I get it.
I don't know. I don't know what to do with that information, but
we just like making people feel awkward.
I know we're waiting for this to upload, so it won't
be. Not yet.
Oh,
she hasn't stopped it yet. We have to say bye.
Okay, let's say bye because I wanted to say something, but I don't want it on.
Yes. Okay. Bye, Claire.
Oh, thank you guys. See you later.
Bye.
All right, that was awesome.
That was a lot. That was great. It was my favorite one ever.
Oh,
yeah,
I liked it too. We hung around and talked to her for another hour, and that was so freaking long.
It was long.
I have to pee again.
I know.
All right. Next order of business is we're gonna choose our winner.
We should just go live.
Okay, let's go live. We have to let me write down the names and we'll put them in a hat. And then when it gets released on Monday, we will release who the winner is.
Oh, so we can't go live.
No, let's not go live. Sorry about that. Let's see who entered. Bex literally just got in.
Yeah.
We got Bex. And we got Alyssa. Or is it Elisa?
Yeah.
Megan commented, but she didn't comment her favorite episode. I think she doesn't know it was a contest. I think she was just being a lovely human commenting on our post.
We can just add her for fun.
All right. Maybe she doesn't want to win. Megan, you're in it even though you didn't do it
Correctly. We're gracious people.
Jules, Lisa,
And Steph.
and my mom.
Oh. Wait, did you write Steph?
Yep.
And then there's another Steph.
She didn't. She just said this is the cutest photo. Oh. I don't think she's in the contest. I like that we made an exception for the other girl, though. Do we not make an exception? Because then do we have to make an exception for that stuff?
Yep. Just put them on.
Okay.
Your pieces of paper are getting smaller and smaller.
Do you have a hat?
No.
I do have.
You know what? I do have a hat. I love that I said no.
Beautiful.
So is part of the rules that you have to listen to this episode for your name to be called for you to know that you won?
No, we'll announce it.
Dang it. Because we could just never have to do these.
That's so funny.
Loophole here.
Okay. Are you recording this?
I'm gonna.
Dorothy is shaking the hat. We are picking our contest winner. You want me to do it?
Yeah, you had to pick the first one.
There's only one, and they get to choose who they want to shoot with.
Right. I forgot. I don't know.
Remember, if you shoot with Dorothy, you get an 85 buttery smooth lens.
They're only all 85 photos. Oh, you get like a lens.
Our winner is...
Can they hear that?
Yeah. Megan. It's funny because Megan didn't properly enter the contest, but we made an exception. And lucky Megan. Congratulations, Megan. All right, there we go. I feel like that's unfair to the people that properly entered, but whatevs. She's supported. She's supported by commenting.
Yeah. Cool.
All right, is
What's
that it?
for lunch?
I'm gonna make a salad.
Oh, nice. I want a salad.
You can
Okay,
have some.
so wrapping things up, we already said this, but this is our last episode for now, but we're going to do a bonus episode, and then we're hoping to be back sometime after December.
Yeah.
We'll have an official start time.
Yeah.
But we know what we're going to do with season 2.
Season 2, baby.
Yeah. You need to get us out there. Give us a reason to come back.
Yeah.
Story us. Like.
Comment.
Subscribe. There's nothing to subscribe to.
Share. You can subscribe to Spotify.
Send us $1. Send us gift cards. Support our coffee addictions.
Perfect.
Somebody out there. Please. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
All right. Where can they find you?
They can find me at Effie Edits Photo on Instagram.
Nice. And they can find me at DorothyMay_.
And also follow our podcast Instagram.
Yeah, because we're super hilarious.
Super hilarious. You can see our viral videos.
30 likes.
Edit Sesh Pod. Follow us.
Okay, bye.
Bye.